All right, all right, all right. We are live streaming. Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm so excited to have everybody here for my Plan Like a Pro Blueprint live. I'm going to go ahead and make sure. Yes, I am good on Instagram as well. All right, going live on IG. Great. Great, 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 great. Okay, welcome. I am so happy to have everybody here, whoever is here, whoever chime in. If you're not going to be here live, that's okay. The replay will be available. My name is Yamoria Wright, and I'm going to get right into it because we only have 45 minutes, and I want to be able to get right into the gist of this, right, without having any time that's delayed. So, first thing I want to say is what is the history? And if I'm going to be looking at my notes over here, don't let that alarm you. What is the history about the Plan Like a Pro blueprint? I am a producer. I'm a producer, I'm a filmmaker, director, writer. And I've been producing for now 18 and counting years. I started as an event planner actually in undergrad. And I also started producing theater. That's why I first produced anything that was pertaining to an audience or if that's anything of that sort. And over the years, I have learned a lot. I've produced branded content. I had a natural hair YouTube channel. Um, and I was doing brand collaborations and was a brand ambassador, all the whole thing, you name it. And I've learned over the years a lot, almost 2 decades worth of knowledge and mistakes and wins when it comes to producing. So I'm going to review some highlights of my Plan Like a Pro blueprint with you, and I'm also gonna just kind of bring home any questions that might come up, whether you are watching this live or eventually I'm going to kind of just address those in advance as people are deciding whether or not the Plan Like the Pro blueprint is for them. But also, no matter what, I want to share my story and make sure that there is that value presented to you, regardless of if the Plan Like a Pro blueprint is for you or not. So, a little bit more about what brought me here to the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. I, for 2.5 years, was the programs director for a nonprofit called Black TV and Film Collective. That was from 2021 to 2023. And in 2023, I also started a role as the director of education and engagement at CBS Studios for CBS Leadership Pipeline Challenge, which is a filmmaker fellowship. And I was a production supervisor for Black Girls Film Camp, and now I'm an advisor for Black Girls Film Camp. So in all of this, I have been producing multiple projects and helping multiple filmmakers of all ages be able to create their work, make their work, and access opportunities. One thing that I've seen consistently, not just with filmmakers trying to access their opportunities, but also within myself, is that sometimes there's a disconnect between what we want to accomplish and the path to get there. And there's a ton of information. There are a ton of videos you can look at and master classes, and all of those things are great. But I found that a lot of filmmakers need a step by step process that they can always return to. So that even if you are, let's be honest, an event planner, you can still use the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. Again, I was an event planner before I was a producer. So event planning, that's a totally different conversation, but has so much in common with producing for film, television, branded content, theater, you name it, right? So this is the foundation, and this is my why when it comes to the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. So speaking of why, that is the first thing that I walk you through in the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. The very first thing that I talk about is why your project, why this project, really anchoring yourself. The reason why this is important, no matter what you are creating, is because there will always be hurdles. You might encounter resistance, you might encounter unexpected challenges. Quick story for my short film, Don't Be Desperate. We filmed that in 2021 in the summer in New York. And a hurricane, a major hurricane passed through. And it's our whole shoot. It was our last day of our shoot, and we had to stop. It was not safe for my cast and crew. Some people are like, "Let's keep going." I said, "No, this is a complete safety hazard." It already took people very long to get home in that traffic and in the flooding. It just was not good for the cast and crew. Um, Something like that, right? The reason why I was able to return back to Don't Be Desperate. I mean, I got home, sat on the couch, or where I was staying at the time, sat on the couch, and I was already sending emails like, okay, when are we going to pick this back up? And it was another 6 weeks before we were going to be able to continue to shoot and finally finish the film. Had I been wary or unclear about my why for that project, that humongous hurdle, because it was a financial, and I had out of town talent and out of town crew. So you're talking about hotels, flights, transportation, ground transportation, all of that. But if I didn't have a why, and if I didn't have a focal point and a North Star for that film, I would have definitely given up. I would have postponed it. It was just, it made it expensive. It tacked on, I believe it was like an additional 20,000. It was something wild because I was not living in New York full time. So I had to fly myself back out to New York from California too. It was a lot of money. But it was worth it, but it also required me to be clear in why that project mattered and why the sacrifice of filming it again even mattered for me. Like, why am I going to do that to myself? And it had to be something deeper than that. Okay. So you need to define your creative vision. You need to be very clear on what your creative vision is. Next, it's important for you to have a project timeline. Now, I'm in the phase of my journey of my career where I feel very confident in what it takes to make a, even $25,000 short film and up. I can make even a short film for, $500, right? I know what it takes to make a short film. And so I'm in the place now where I'm confident enough in that I can say, okay, I can have a very shortened, truncated project timeline, but it doesn't mean that I'm skipping steps. It just means that I'm moving faster through the timeline. Ideally, though, I would always advise to still give yourself, even if you have a shorter project timeline, you should be planning the same amount of things within that timeline, which is to say, pre production is the most important part of production. Oh, I have a comment here. I'm so sorry. I've been going to town. Brianna, what's the process for becoming an advisor for Black Girls Film Camp? Um, so the camp has already started. But if you want to look at more information about how to get involved with Black Girls Film Camp, you'll go to the website blackgirlsfilmcamp.org, blackgirlsfilmcamp.org, and you'll get more information about that. Great question. So yeah, back to the project timeline. It's very important for you to always have the same steps no matter how quickly you're going through the process of making your film. Okay. I'm also going to walk you through within the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. I also walk you through logistics. So that is a checklist for everything from budget, finance, locations, crew, cast, health and safety protocols, catering, marketing prep, making sure, did you do this? Do you have a budget? Did you double check your budget? Did you triple check your budget? Are you sure that are you aware of the health and safety protocols? Do you know your cast and crew allergies? I mean, going down the list, very, very incrementally nuclear. Hi, hey Bianca, hey Dex, hey y'all. Thank you for joining on Instagram, but going very, very step by step to ensure that you are checking all of the boxes off as you are preparing for your project. And then this is my favorite part because I love the creative within creative. I discuss the types of decks that you need for your project. Okay. So that's everything from your director's deck, your pitch deck, your business plan. Cannot overlook a business plan, especially when you are developing a project that you want to um, make into IP and you're thinking of like different verticals or pillars within your project, your social impact deck, sponsorship materials, etc. So I then walk you through what you need inside of each of those decks and the type or what type of decks you need and what to consider when developing those decks for your projects. I just also want to say that I list all the decks you need, but you can make like a master deck, which I was what I advise. And if you're creating it in like Canva, not sponsored, but maybe one day, if you're creating it in Canva, then you can hide the pages of your deck, different pages. And then, you'll send maybe just page, let's say 1 through 10 is your pitch deck. And then when you get to 10 through, 1 through 12, it's that all of that makes your sponsorship deck. I hope that makes sense. But essentially, you can create slides for everything and this just decide or be clear on what you're going to export that makes us a sponsor, a director deck, pitch deck, etc. Because you don't want to you want to be clear on what the contents of each of these different types of deck, what's included in those contents, right? You don't want to just have something in there that's not necessary. And then I walk you through prompts. So prompts for you and your team, which is, really it's meant to make you think deeper and to have conversations with your team members and say, hey, do we have this? Do we really have our stuff together? Do we have this? Check. Do we have this? Check. Whatever it is, to make sure that you're thinking even deeper. I don't consider myself to be type A. I really don't, but I am very thorough as much as I can be. And the reason why I am as thorough as I am is because every time I make a mistake in production, I try to internalize that, not like, oh my God, I feel sorry for myself, but like take note, learn from that mistake, and then ensure that moving forward that I at least get ahead of that mistake. I'm not obsessing over that'll never happen again, but can I get ahead of that mistake, right? That can be anything from miscommunication with actors to not having talent releases on hand when you're shooting in a public space, especially if you're shooting guerrilla style, all sorts of things, lessons that I have learned that I ensure I share with all of you. Also, another tidbit about the blueprint that I really love that I added very last minute, as in like a few days ago, right before it came out. 1 second. Oh, that coffee's good. What I added to the blueprint it's called Notes from the Field. And if you hear that dog barking, that's my sister's dog. Apologies. She's cute. It'll be okay. But I didn't want to bring her on as a mascot today. But Notes from the Field is true reflections straight from me. It's like my dear diary that's public about lessons I have learned in the field. Literally. And there's a QR code on there as well where you can listen to that. There's an audio visual companion element, which is pretty exciting to me. It's fun to me. It was fun to do. That allows you to just kind of get, if you prefer to just listen to me kind of speak about my experience, that's an easier way to get that experience for yourself. And then templates. I did not hold back on this. I made sure that I have templates, everywhere from press release templates to sponsorship and partnership templates, you name it. If I could think of it and dream it, I added it in there. And it'll open into a Google Doc, which you'll be able to duplicate and download so that you can have your template, and you can adjust it as you need. But they're templates I've actually used. I made sure that I went back and sought in my email what was a successful outreach, what is a successful press release that's been issued, etc. And I used those and adapted those into templates for you. So it's not just like pulled from the ether. They're actually things that work. They're templates that have truly and honestly worked for me. Okay. So that's a little bit of a rundown about the Plan Like a Pro blueprint. I'm talking so fast, so I'm trying to reel it in because I promised 45 minutes, and that is what I want to give. So that gives me 30 more minutes here. Okay. I also want to talk a little bit more about how to plan without overthinking or freezing. One way that you can plan ahead in production without overthinking or freezing is to, again, and this is not just to upsell the Plan Like a Pro blueprint, You could write this down if you want, but one way is to make sure that you have absolute written clarity about your project, written down clarity. You know why this project exists. You know who your target audience is. You know the vision for this project. How do you prevent yourself from freezing? I believe that there are times when you need to slow down, right? But just freezing and like, I can't do it and dropping the project, that happens when you are not anchored. Now, stepping away and taking a break is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about freezing and doing nothing or freezing and giving up. That's what I'm addressing here. When you feel centered, you always have something to go back to. Here's the reality: when you're collaborating with a lot of creatives, people have other gigs, other jobs. They might be helping you with their film, but they could be working on their own project as well. They could have a full-time job, a family, everything, you name it. People are not going to always. Now, you're blessed if you can find collaborators who are going to be locked in basically 24/7 like you. But if it came from you, you have to accept that you will be the one with the highest conviction to see the project or event or workshop, whatever it is you're creating, through. It could be an app. That conviction is going to be strongest within the person who the idea, the seed was planted inside of, right? It's germinating in you. You're the one that is restless if you can't create the project, launch the app, whatever. It's in you. So you have to manage your own expectations of how locked in your collaborators will be. That is very important. And I hope that advice lands for someone who maybe feels super discouraged, like they want to give up because they feel like, well, they're not locked in. The team's not locked in. People can tap in and out. What matters is having people that when you pick up the phone, and text or whatever, when you email, that they respond to you. That's what matters. When you need them and when it's something that really serves them, and be discretionary about that. I used to, for Love My Roomie, child, in the beginning, my little feelings would be hurt. I would send blast emails to everybody because I was just truly so excited about it. And I would send emails to everybody, and I was sending so many emails. It was too many emails. As the years progressed, I began to realize, and as I honestly got busier and started working more demanding full-time jobs, I realized, like, hey, only reach out to people if something is relevant to them. And also, when I send mass emails now, for instance, an example, Love My Roomie is on YouTube for a limited time. When I launched it on YouTube, relaunched it because it's on Amazon Prime Video, on YouTube back in December, I sent one email to the cast and crew. And I said, hey, this is the only time you're going to hear from me about it. You know where to find it. You know where the Instagram is. You know where the YouTube channel is. You know where to find it. If you want any assets, if you want to share the word, it's not required. It's not expected. Just let me know. The series came out 5 years ago, right? We've already done that, right? You want to let me know. Managing my own expectations of what people have the capacity, bandwidth, and quite honestly, what people may or may not be interested in doing in this season of their life, and realizing that's not personal, right? Again, everybody that you create with, they're creatives too. So you have to be mindful of the longevity of your project might surpass the ability for certain people that are a part of your project to promote your project, to drive the audience towards your project. That doesn't mean they don't appreciate the project or you. It means that there is a set time. However, that does not mean, now here's the kicker, that you stop pushing the project forward. You have to continue to hold that vision. If the vision is incomplete, if you've if you haven't fully seen it through, if you know, oh, I got distribution for this project, but man, I'm sure I can get distribution on Tubi or All Black, whatever. If you feel like, nah, I didn't push it as much as I pushed it, keep pushing. Keep going. Don't give up. There's no reason to give up. Just manage your expectations and realize that just because you hold the vision all throughout your being doesn't mean everyone else holds it throughout their being, or doesn't mean that they're going to be able to sustain holding that vision for the same amount of time as you do, as you are. And why? Because it was put inside of you. That vision is yours. You are called to see that through. And there is an honor associated with being called to see a vision through and to have collaborators beside you to help, right? Okay, I'm getting preachy, so I'll pull back. I'll pull back on you. Um, what do you do when your momentum drops? What do you do when your momentum drops? I'm going to go ahead and pin that question up here. It is a prompted question that I wanted to um, discuss with you also. What do you do when your motivation drops? Take a break. That could be a day. That could be a month. You should give it a timeline because you don't want to just leave the project hanging. That could be an hour, but you need to step back and refocus on something else. What does that look like, Moria? That looks like staying inspired. I love to watch Tiny Desk, y'all. I love watching Tiny Desk. I could just sit there and just sit and watch Tiny Desk, and it immerses me into a concert. I love seeing other creatives in their flow. If y'all are familiar with that movie Soul, I love seeing them in that special place, that deep creative space. It electrifies me. So whatever it is, could be going to art gallery, live music, running, it doesn't matter as long as it's healthy and beneficial to your well-being. Take a break when you lose motivation and find something else that is a part of who you are. Oh, I have a comment. What do you do when things aren't working out? Brianna says, what do you do when things aren't working out? That's a great question. When things are not working out, the best thing you can do, which I was actually just speaking about this right now anyways, is take a step back. And when I say reassess, I don't mean just talk on the phone with somebody or go on threads and talk about it. I mean, like, literally write down what you thought was going to work and what's not working. You need to be able to identify the gaps in your expectations and what is. Example, I thought when I made Don't Be Desperate that it would immediately, I was so proud of it. I was like, oh, it's going to go right to festivals. I was getting into some festivals, but then some festivals I really wanted to get into, I was not getting into. And I was like, this is not working out. I'm like, this project was an immense investment. I paid the whole cast and crew. Everybody worked and got compensated for it. It wasn't, any bartering system. I said, it's been a lot of investment. It's a lot of investment. You know what I did? I took a step back outside myself. And this step back took months and said, you know what? This project's sound is not that good. There are places where this sound is not crisp. The sound is popping, doing all sorts of things. It's like the sound isn't good. Ooh, I think I rushed through having my post team just give me the film, deliver the film. This grading is a little bit off between these two shots, these two angles. I had to be honest with myself about what the product actually looked like and what might be getting in my way. I could not be so deep into my producer, director, writer feelings that I just thought people just didn't get me. And you know what I did? It cost me extra money, but I found someone who like was a pro in post sound and had the capacity to really do surgery. And that person did surgery on the sound of my project and mixed it up real nice. and boom, the sound. I gave my editing team more time to really look a picture, to really identify some areas where it's a little bit overexposed, like identify what happened, what might have happened. It's indie filmmaking, and for them to correct that. And then I went back and submitted it to the same festivals that I didn't get into. I submitted it in 2023. Again, top of 2023, got into those festivals, nominated at one of those festivals for outstanding music. So you've got to be honest with yourself about what is happening and what you expect it to happen. And then look at the gap in between to see, well, why might my expectations not be meeting the results? You might be thinking about funding. Okay, I'm just trying to make my project. Okay. Do you know anybody that can get behind that project and that will say, you know what? I will help you make this project. You don't even got to pay me right now. I just want to see this. This film, this project needs to happen. I'll put myself out there. I am looking for 2 projects, 2 short films this year, 2026, to direct that have either they're funded or the creator, lead producer, whoever is like, hey, we want to make this film. It doesn't matter if we want to make it. As I'm getting back into directing, transitioning from, mainly producing, I'm putting myself out there. So if you've got something, send it my way. Send it my way. My email is info@yawrightproductions.com. You can send it my way. You can comment here and be like, I need your email if you're missing it. You can also just go to yawrightproductions.com and you'll find it there. You'll be able to contact me there. So in any case, I just want to give that context, Brianna. I hope that helped. If you have any follow-up questions, please continue to ask. So we've got about 15 minutes left. I'm going to continue to move forward. So how do I define success, or how might you define success beyond simply finishing your film? We know, actually, let me not assume everyone knows. There are 3 different versions of a film. There's the film you make. The film you write. There's the film you make. There's the film that comes out from post-production. It is a trinity. It takes 3 major passes, right? Major moments for a film to be made. You don't just write it and it's like, I made my film. You don't just shoot it and you make your film. You shot a film. It lives on your hard drives. You did not make the film until someone, could be you, someone edits the film and now it has been made. So I think that is the first pinnacle of success, because you've now made your film. Now, every step is measurable, right? I wrote it, kudos. I shot it, that's really hard to do, kudos. I finished it, boom. Beyond finishing, success goes back to your why. Why did you make the film? And I don't mean I also mean, the heart of why. Because I want to, I want to inspire women in their 40s to follow their dreams, even if they feel like it's too late, whatever. That's a great why. Okay. But also, how you define success beyond finishing is, what career purpose did you create the film for? If you're like, I just wanted to make it, okay, then I guess it just stops once you finish editing it. But if you're taking it a step further and you're like, I wanted this to be my debut as a director. I want people to obviously see it. I want to do private premieres. I want to get into festivals. I'd also caution attaching a certain festival to what success is. If I get in this festival, we get in this festival, oh, we've done it. No, that is a trap. You are not in as much control as you'd like to be of whether you get into a certain festival. There are tons, you might know programmers, etc. But you've got to leave room for life to happen. You cannot be so attached to, like, if I get in this festival, we've made it. Because if you didn't get in, does that make you less worthy of a filmmaker? Does that erase all of the work you put into your project if you don't get into said festival? No, it shouldn't. So, success beyond finishing is about being able to reach certain markers that you have. But the more prepared you are, the easier it will be to have your expectations met. Here's an example of how it pertains to festivals. Say you're making a horror thriller. If you are submitting your project to festivals that typically, I mean, like, it's a festival that has more family centered content, and they kind of, horror thriller, there's not really like a block that they really have, and they're kind of like, you don't really see a lot of that coming out of that festival, but you, for whatever reason, want to be in that festival, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. And now your marker of success is also further away potentially because you've set your sights on something that doesn't even necessarily fit the genre of your project. So, in order to really be able to define success beyond finishing your project, you need to know and do your research prior or just have clarity prior where your project is going to go. That is, I want to distribute it. I want distribution. Okay. It would be great if I'm on this platform. That'd be great. But I just want distribution. I want to screen it at least 4 festivals, or I want to screen it at my hometown festival. Okay. I want to be able to have private premieres. I want people to see me as a director. Maybe people have been seeing me as a writer or as a production assistant, and this is my directorial debut. Well, then you've got to make sure that every step of the way you are pointing again to that North Star. You're pointing to that goal. And now how it unfolds is where you've got to detach. But it will unfold if you stay and remain clear. If your goal is for people to see you as a director now and you've been a PA, moment you get on that set, I mean, quite frankly, moment that you have your team and y'all are in pre-production meetings, you've met that goal. Now, if the goal is for people to see your film, which I'm sure it is, then the moment the first person sees your completed film, you've met a goal. And everything else is a bonus. Okay. So that's how we define success beyond just finishing the film. Um, I have a question. What part of the process do you usually avoid? For me, that's such a great question. And I have that prompted, and I'm like, well, can I even answer that question? The part of the process that I would say I usually avoid is taking my time when I'm writing. So I have to write it because it has to exist. But I avoid previously, I'm not doing that so much anymore, but I avoid the process of writing because I know how to make it. I'm confident I can make it. So sometimes that has meant that my script isn't not exactly where it needs to be. It was very easy to see that with Love My Room because it's episodic. So I'm watching it again when I've uploaded to YouTube, the past month and a half. I can see my strong writing and I can see where, like, girl, what was you talking about? I can see where maybe I was just flowing and maybe it came quick and it was just strong, or where I was taking my time developing a storyline or a character, and I can see where I dropped the ball. Just telling the truth. So that is my hardest part of the the part of the process that I avoid the most, because even though it is the most important part, you have to have a strong story. Um, because I know how to make it, sometimes that strength can become a weakness when it comes to the process, which is why I have held myself back from pressing go on several projects because it was important to me to go through the process of writing it. And I wanted to respect the craft of screenwriting, the craft of writing, craft of written storytelling. And so I've not prevented, I've held myself back from going all in and just making a thing. Because a lot of times, and a lot of us are multi-hyphenates, because we know we can shoot the thing and we gonna write it and direct it, we can be like, that saying that is horrible, which is, oh, you can fix it in post, and a lot of stuff you cannot fix in post. It's the same thing when it comes to writing. You might be like, oh, we'll work it out on set or the table read. It's like, if your actors are confused, then it's confusing. And clarity needs to happen, because if they don't know why, they don't know their motive, they are unsure, then they can't tell the story authentically. A very talented actor can phone it in, but that doesn't mean that it's the strongest version of storytelling that they can bring to the table. One moment. Okay. So the next question that I want to identify here is, what would it feel like to trust your process? Hey, we got some more people joining. Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining on Instagram. Appreciate you. What would it feel like to trust your process? It would feel like peace to trust your process. It feels like peace. Got a thumbs up on Facebook. Thank you. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm so excited. I'll be doing more of these. I'll be doing this again on Wednesday, y'all. So it won't be long. And that will be very specific filmmaker or film process discussion. In any case, what would it feel like to trust your process? Trusting your process feels like freedom. It feels like not caring what other people think. It feels like flow, like you are water. It feels like peace. It feels like conviction in what you know you've been called to do. It feels like growth and true servant leadership. And why do I say servant leadership? Because you're here to work alongside with each other, especially those who are writer directors, so they have more and even deeper connection to the material. But it goes for everybody: producing, directing, writing, those specifically those three roles. When you trust your process and that you're a servant leader, you realize that your role isn't to just drive home some dream, to get to some end goal, some festival, some distribution, some streaming network, an agent, whatever. You realize that you are truly a vessel, and that you are an artist, and that you deserve, and your dream, vision, your creative venture deserves the space to be embraced and created and respected. Thank you, everybody on Instagram that's been joining. I appreciate y'all. And so that's what trusting your process feels like. That's what trusting your process feels like. I'm going to end here. How do you know when you're ready to move forward with the project? Honestly, when you've built the foundation, when you know why, when you know your target audience. And now that's very heady, because that's like, I just want to create. Okay, I'm saying this. Write the project. Do everything that you need to do to be creative on the page. But when you come to me, when you come to the Plan Like a Pro blueprint, that's when we get started into the process of making it, right? And that in that process of making it, another foundational form of clarity is knowing who your target audience is. Yes, just like in marketing, it's very literal. It's not a very creative way of thinking, but it will shepherd, it will help guide your project when it comes to, again, the festivals. If you have something that has a bunch of kids in it and it feels like it's kids content, this was a short film I produced, Color of Autumn. Our film skewed towards children. And it was a film that we wanted to incorporate and bring into classrooms. So festivals that were geared towards youth, it did very well in those, right? Know your target audience. Write your project, right? Be real about your story. I don't think you should be like, who's my target audience of this project as you're writing it, right? But once you're ready to get into the weeds of development into the pre-production and late development, you should start to establish who this project is for. And now some of you, you might already like, it might be clear who the project is for. For instance, throw this out there. Black Girls Film Camp. Well, the films are written by teens throughout, internationally, because we've had international. So the target actually becomes, and it's based off of how the organization, the container and the framework from which the girls are creating their films. But like the main target is going to be teens, right? That's built into it. So it might be built into your project if you're writing, if you're commissioned to write something, you're hired to write something, that might just be built in your target, but you should know who they are. I have another comment here. Zachary, thank you for sharing your Vimeo. I'll definitely check it out. Cool, cool, cool. Nice to see you too. But yes, that's built into your project. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it with a lesson that I've learned and a blueprint principle, plan like a pro blueprint principle that I stand by. What I have learned in the process of creating this workbook, which was sending me, I was doing 12-hour days, literally just working on the workbook. And shout out to Shay, my designer, who took the workbook from where it was when I first came out with it, but did not market it last year to where it is now design wise. And it's very elevated from there aesthetically. But one thing that I have learned in the process of creating this tool for you is how much I got in my own way. I am here to confess that I thought I was not someone who suffered from imposter syndrome. I really thought, I mean, I've accomplished so much in my career without a blueprint. There was no one in my life who had done what I was doing and was showing me how. Um, and so I did not see myself as someone who had imposter syndrome by any means. But I realized I was suffering so deeply from imposter syndrome because it prevented me from marketing, spreading the word about this workbook that I really poured a lot into and really created to make things easier for everyone who purchases it, who invests in it, who believes in me. I was like struggling to feel I was good enough to even or share it. And it's ridiculous to think that when I pan out. But I was like, it was easier to just kind of blend in to pouring into everything and everyone else. It felt less vulnerable, but to be even deeper than that, less scary. Because how can you come for me, I should say? How can you judge me too deeply if I don't put myself out there? If I kind of just tuck myself into what I do well and hide in the background. So that I learned that in this process, there are many times where I just wanted to say, no one's expecting it, you know, eh, you know. And then I did pre-orders 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I gotta come out with this. People bought this. Oh my gosh! Now, which is good. I got it. I got out of my way and I got in front of myself, so that it's like, no, no, no. Now you've got to hit that mark. Now you've got to have that goal. Now you've got to provide people with this tool because they believe in it and they need it and they believe in you and they know that you have something to share. That is what I learned in this process, is that I have something to share. And I am excited about what journey we're going to go on as a community as I share more with you about not just the Plan Like a Pro blueprint or about my story, but about the journey of filmmaking. And I'm excited to learn more about those who join me in community and to be able to help more people get past the roadblocks in their mind, which is where many of them start and live. And then those physical roadblocks that might prevent us from wanting to pursue the things that are in our hearts. I'm going to end it with saying, I know a lot of people say, like, Hollywood is dead. And this is going to sound corny, but I don't care. It's not. It's like what you deem Hollywood, whatever you've projected from your mind onto what it is. Maybe it's the stars, maybe it's box office hits. If you're a storyteller, if you're a filmmaker, and even if you are a theater, a theater person, a thespian, Hollywood, Broadway, your dreams, all of that is within you. Literally. You are projecting you are buying into an idea. We've all bought into it. And we collectively decided that that is what it is. And now that differs from person to person, group to group. But generally speaking, we decided that is what it is. But what it really is something that's within you. And I say that because no matter where you live, no matter where you call home, the ability to tell your stories, the conviction and passion to tell your stories, that is within you. No matter where you live, that conviction to tell stories, to tell your stories, to speak, use your voice and raise your voice about what matters to you, to expand representation, to make people laugh and sometimes cause them to cry, that is within you. So no. Maybe systems, right, are collapsing, but the idea of the dream is literally inside of you. And so for however long you are here, the dream that is within you will remain alive. And the beautiful part about what we do as creatives is that we leave our footprint, we leave our stamp, we leave our passion behind us like a trail for all who are to come. Thank you so much for tuning into this live or for watching the replay. You can download, invest, purchase the Plan Like a Pro blueprint via the link that is pinned. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be live again in a few days. So until then, have a safe weekend and thank you for joining me. Peace out.